7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And hello once again, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Inside Pacer Nation. It's been a while, but I am here, Marcus Johnson, alongside Jordan Phillips, and we have a couple of guests today. Pacers softball standout Kristan Lowery joins us once again, along with baseball slugger Nile Goings joining us on the podcast today. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having me.
And we finally have multiple headsets. We were working with two, so we'd have to, trade them off every now and again, but now we can actually interview you together, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Truly, we're getting there. We're next level at this point, honestly.
We are a legitimate group.
Inside Pacer Nation is on the come up, truly.
We're definitely gonna be that top podcast within the next month.
Give me a year, we're in the top 10.
I like the sound of that.
We're coming for you, Stephen A.
Well, I mean, that might be easier than you might think. So.
It's ambitious.
But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and kick off things with an interview with our athletes as the new seasons are about to begin. Baseball will be starting up in February. Softball will be starting up in February, and we have high expectations for both of you. So I hope you don't feel too much pressure. But we're gonna go ahead and start things off with you, Nile. Nile, what are your expectations for the team this year? Obviously, pitching is going to be a major factor with the loss of a couple of aces, including All-American Joey Benitez. But how do you think the pitching's been coming along during the offseason?
I think we've done a really good job with the pitchers. We've had a lot of guys transfer here. We had a lot of high school guys coming. And we've really taken the time to, work with our pitchers, see what works for everybody, and, establish roles so that everybody knows what they're doing. And I really think, top to bottom, we will be a very solid pitching team. We have really good starters. We have really good relievers. I feel like everybody in the bullpen can really contribute to our team. So I'm really, really confident about what we have, on the mound, no matter who it is.
And that bullpen is a big step up from where it was last year, where you were saying before the game, you're almost like, who are we going to get? Are we going to get that ace out there, or are we going to have to, get the bats going hot again?
Right. I agree. I don't feel like we'll have to rely on the offense as much. Although offense is, of course, a big part of the game. Defense is, even bigger. Defense wins championships. So having somebody reliable out there on the mound all the time is always a great feeling when you're a hitter and, even when you're on defense.
And going back to batting, the bats have been a huge factor for USC Aiken's success over the past few seasons. Yours is one of them. Last year you really had a breakout season and you were crushing the ball. In fact, I think there's one that still hasn't landed yet that you hit out into dead left field. But how do you think the bats? You were saying they may not be as big of a factor this year. They may not need to be as big of a factor. But do you think that in one of those shootout type of games that this lineup can pull through?
I believe that we can. When I say the offense isn't going to be that big of a factor, I mean hitting the ball over the fence isn't going to be that big of a factor. We have the middle of our lineup is going to we're going to manufacture runs, but everybody else I feel like has a role to play, and everybody knows that they what they're supposed to be doing, and it just comes down to we're more all-around better offense. I would say we lived and died by the long ball before, so I think we have more role players, base hitters, singles guys, and they accept that and understand that that's what they're here to do. So I think we're top to bottom a better overall offensive team.
And one of the successes last year was Jose Bonilla. He would hit in the leadoff spot, and if he got on, and he had a 400 batting average, so he got on a lot, you could almost guarantee that he was going for second base. And then all it would take would be somebody like you or Zach Moon, who's no longer on the team, but somebody who could really lay into the ball and send it out, even if it didn't go out of the park, send it deep enough that he could round the bases and make it in home. And that's kind of what I'm getting. You're saying is what this year's going to be like. Get the guy on base and send him around with just solid base hits.
Right. That's basically what I'm saying. And I also like to throw in that Jose Bonilla batted .399. Sorry.
Okay, close to 400.
Sorry about it, bro.
Okay, it was close enough.
More importantly, he had a 474 OBP.
Okay,
so
there we
that
go.
makes up for it.
That's the real stat right there, by the way.
That's the most important thing.
That's the real stat.
Metrics, Nile.
All right,
Metrics.
And before we move on to, cricket over there for softball, I'm going to ask you, what is your personal goal for this year?
Personal goal. I mean, My biggest thing, I'm always trying to help the team any way that I possibly can, but I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't have my own personal things that I'm trying to do. So I've never made the all-conference team, and I figured, first or second, I figured, this would be a good time to, really put my name on the map and, really make a splash as a senior this year.
Well, I feel like if the trend continues as you improve, I feel like you'll make the all-conference team. I don't think that's too lofty a goal.
I don't think so.
Definitely not.
Within reach for sure.
I mean, you've been on an upward trend since your freshman year, so I'd say that's not too far off your horizons at all.
Right, I agree. So.
I mean, he's getting better.
Yeah, it's getting better every day, one step at a time. Just gotta trust the process.
I guess I'll root for you.
I appreciate that.
You guys are, you rooting for each other, really.
So, Jordan, you have any questions for Mr. Goings here?
Yeah, just one. So, opening the season, as always, with Lincoln Memorial, what do you guys have to do to go out there and get that season opening sweep, that way to start the season off right?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we have to do is just worry about what we're doing. Our coach always makes sure he reinforces the fact that, it really matters what we're doing. It doesn't really matter what they're doing, who they're pitching, what's going on with them. We just have to play our game. We have to do what we're supposed to do. We have to make pitches. We have to, make outs, and runs. So I think that's the biggest part of our game that we have to really focus on if we're really going to, sweep Lincoln Memorial the first opening weekend.
All right, well, I think that's about all I have.
That's all you've got. And hopefully the baseball team will sweep opening week and get off to a good start. And, I mean, a lot of home games this year, so you'll have that advantage. And with any luck, that'll get you into conference play and conference tournament. And fingers crossed to the NCAA tournament, and even more fingers crossed to the College World Series. So now we will move it on to softball, which also starts up the same week as baseball.
It does indeed. You guys taking on Converse College in the opening weekend. So cricket, we'll just start out. Similar question to Nile. How has the team come together this offseason? How have they improved? Who are some of the faces we should look out for this offseason or this upcoming season?
I mean, in the fall we worked really hard. We had our really good tournament weekend where we got to see some of our new players in action, and so that was really good. And like I said in the previous podcast I did in the fall, Jesse Stanley has a vacuum for a glove at third base over there. Caitlin Powell really stood out. We have a pitcher, Caroline Cockrell, and we're working with her, and she's doing pretty good. Coming out of high school, it's completely different pitching wise. So I think she's really making great strides. I mean, we moved Macy to the outfield, and she's improving a lot there too. So Deja, we have a shortstop. She's gonna I think she's gonna fill the hole there. And I mean, she's doing really good. Like I said, again, from high school to college, especially in the Peach Belt, it's a completely different game in softball. So, you really got to work hard. But, I mean, overall as a team, we're really coming together. Our seniors are stepping up and, doing a really great job. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's it? You're just excited?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm excited. I'm pumped for it. I'm ready.
Well, I think everybody's pumped for it. I think it's going to be a really good season, as you mentioned. I mean, you guys have a lot of talent on the team, and you're looking to take a step forward this season, as you've told me outside of the podcast. Kind of talk about that a little bit. How you want to improve your game this season.
Absolutely. Well, catching, I was a little intimidated coming in. I started out in JUCO my freshman year, and it was fairly easy to stand out there. And then I come here, and like I said, it's a whole new ball game. It's very competitive in the Peach Belt, and so catching wise, I was pretty intimidated. Starting out and everything, and throwdowns, I was scared to throw the ball. And this year, I've just really been working on not being scared to throw it, not being scared to pop it down to first, third, everything like that. And so, I mean, just taking a little more risk catching wise, and offensively, my plan is just whatever our setup is.
Nope, pay no attention to that.
Whatever the situation is when I come up to bat, I want to be able to produce for my team. Production is my main goal this year. Increase in OBP is also my pretty main goal there. My batting average wasn't the best. I mean, I batted near 500 in JUCO my freshman year, and I come here and I'm batting 250. So I definitely dropped half of that batting average. But again, I'm facing a lot more competitive pitching, so I'm just looking to. I mean, and batting average isn't even the most important stat to me. It really is on base percentage.
I was about to say something about that. Yeah, the on base
And so,
percentage
and
is huge.
sacrificing for my team, I'm down for that. So, those are my two main goals at the plate. I'm not a power hitter. I'm not gonna drop bombs ever, probably. I've only hit one in my whole life. Off of Lindy Dorgan, by the way, in high school. Just want to throw that out there. But that was the only one.
Shots
I
fired.
know she hates when I bring that up, but
Hey, you got to take pride in it. Got to take pride in it.
I'm just looking to have solid hits. Play a lot of small ball. Last year we kind of struggled laying a bunt down, and so this year that's what I'm really looking forward to doing for my team is being able to produce that small ball plays that can move our runners around and get us in scoring position.
And so you talk about playing small ball, really manufacturing your runs. So last season, the team lost 13 games in which they could have taken the lead. They were down by 1 run or less, or had the amount of runners to take the lead or tie in the 6th or 7th inning. So how are you guys going to change your approach this season to be able to take more advantage in those situations and give yourself more late game or late inning wins?
Well, I mean, like I said before, I'm sure in those games we had the opportunity to get the go-ahead run, and we just couldn't because we could not produce that bunt or we could not put it in play. And growing up, my dad always told me, there were a few times last season where I do like a show and go. So like I show bunt, pull defense, pull back and slap the ball. Just put it in play. It messes up a defense. And laying down a bunt, it moves your whole defense. You have to move that runner forward. And I think those are just some things that we really we needed to work on last year, and that's a big focus this year is just putting the ball in play. Making contact and putting the ball in play does so much more for you than taking big daddy hacks, especially 2 strikes. You really need to, I mean, I'm not saying don't take big daddy hacks. Take some big daddy hacks. Your first 2 strikes are yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when your team really needs you to move a runner, you need to move the runner.
Yeah.
So, I mean that's what I've done growing up. Is the first 2 strikes are yours. I mean, hack away. But that 3rd strike, I've always had the 2-strike approach, and I go in the box. I know I just need to make contact because making contact would be so much more beneficial for my team than striking out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Okay. So, and kind of like Marcus did with Nile, I want to ask you, what is one goal you have for yourself personally this season? What is something that you want to improve or something you want to change from last season going forward?
Like I said, catching. I want to be more confident catching. I mean, I had a fairly good season, not many pass balls, and throwing, like pickoffs and everything. I just want to be more confident in that in myself because I was always overthinking throwing down and all that. And really, this season I've just really worked on letting loose, letting my arm go with it. And I found that I do so much better like that. I'm throwing the ball harder, everything like that. And then offensively, I think I had 13 strikeouts maybe more. I don't know. Definitely under 20. But
Stats Master, you got this.
I do. If you'll give me just a moment. Having a hard time here. Let's see here. You had last season 13 strikeouts.
13.
Yes.
My goal is
10 walks.
is
Not a bad.
sub
not bad.
8. Sub 8.
Okay.
That's my goal, and also, I mean, sub 8. I think that seems pretty reasonable for me. A few of those strikeouts, I know when we played Francis Marion, I probably had the worst game of my life offensively, and one of the best defensively. But I think I struck out every time at bat, like every time.
Goodness.
And so, but it was mental errors. I let them get in my head. And so I think that's what happened with a lot of those strikeouts. I just kind of lost a little focus. And so I just want to focus more, get my strikeouts sub 8, and I want my on-base percentage to be popping.
All right. Get the OBP popping.
Yeah.
You cut down on your strikeouts. That sounds like, as same as Nile, sounds like a very attainable goal, something I think you're plenty capable of achieving.
Yeah, and then if I make conference, like all-conference team, and Nile doesn't, I'm going to mail him my little certificate thing just so he can know. Just so he can remember.
Be careful with that.
How
He
you
may
feel
throw
about-
that out.
How do you feel about that,
Kind
Nile?
of give me a little sour taste.
Hey,
No,
hey.
I'm just kidding. I really
He's
hope
feeling
that,
a little salty
Even
over
if you
there.
make all conference, remember he can hit dingers.
you know what, home runs aren't everything, boys.
I agree. What's his
It's
weighted-
really fun when you
Yeah,
can
I
hit the
know.
ball and jog around the bases.
I'm not
That's
going to
pretty
lie,
fun.
that one home run I hit definitely felt good, but I ain't felt that in a while, so.
Well,
But,
let's change that this season. Hit
Well,
at
we
least
can
one
only
dinger.
hope.
What's
We
his
only-
weighted runs created plus? That's what I want to know.
What?
That's getting into that's getting into the deep stats, the stuff they don't pay us enough
You're
for.
pulling out sabermetrics on me.
You are right. I'm a sabermetrics guy for sure, but I can enjoy a good long ball myself as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I get pumped. I'm a Pacers fan, so I mean, y'all see me in basketball games. I'm just waiting for them to call it. Baseball games, I'm yelling. I mean, I'm there, man.
Well,
She's all in, truly.
Well, at the soccer games, if that's any indication, you look like you were going to have a heart attack in a couple of
I
those.
definitely was pacing a little bit, but I pull for everybody. I want everybody to do good. I want my bud Nile here to do good and make all conference and all American and all nation, whatever you can make. I don't know.
You hear that
All
now? She
American
wants
is
you
kind
to
of
do-
All nation, all nations. How about that?
I'm
So
fighting-
all
I'm
world?
fighting
All
bacteria.
world.
I'm fighting bacteria.
She
It's
wants
okay,
you to
buddy.
do good.
Choke 'em back. Yeah, I want everybody to do good. I'm really excited. I'm
And that's the beauty of USC Aiken sports is all the athletes really pull for each other, and
Yeah.
that's something I enjoy. That's something I don't think you see in some of the larger universities. I could be wrong, but now I'm getting some head shakes, so I'm right.
You my friend. You know that? You my friend.
yeah, we're good buds.
But just one thing I want to say is, as the late great Yogi Berra said, 90% of the game is half mental, and what it sounds like is you've gotten a lockdown on your mental status, and I feel like that's going to be huge for you in the upcoming season. But I do have one question, and who do you think is going to be the real breakout player this year for softball? Who do you think is going to either have the biggest impact or be the most improved? Just any of those things.
Really, at this point, it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm really hoping that Brielle continues her second half of the season from last year, just brings it right back into the spring because she was on fire the second half of the season. And as our senior year, I want her to just explode and do that well again, but all season.
If she does that, if she keeps the same pace up as the second half of the season throughout the entire season, she could finish with a 500 batting average. Possibly.
Absolutely. And I could only pray that happens for her because that would be extraordinary.
And we got a note coming in as soon as
She hit 500 over the last 14 games, and
Yeah.
she's currently on a 12-game hit streak. I don't know if that continues on into the new season.
I don't know, but
it will continue.
I
Yeah.
just
I don't see why
those games, she was
Also-
on fire, and she led us. Brielle's a force to be reckoned with on base, also.
Oh, yeah.
Speed wise, I mean, her stealing second is a given. Just about every time, I have absolute 100% confidence as soon as she leaves to steal second base, she's not gonna get thrown out. And then having her in scoring position like that, that's just really beneficial for our team. And I hope that she continues that and really breaks out in that way. And then I really hope to see Hannah Price's bat just really come alive this season because she has a lot of power and her swing is great. And so I really hope to see her too.
Oh, that sounds good, and I really hope that your predictions come true. And I hope you have a stellar season as well. I mean, I hope everybody has a stellar season,
Me
except for
too.
Niall.
I hope you have a stellar season.
I'm gonna bat 150. I'm okay with that.
Niall, I hope you hit the cover off the ball.
I hope so. Honestly, I hope so too.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
The best part of calling baseball games is being able to call those home runs. That's that, or I did have one great opportunity when I was covering an Augusta baseball game where I saw an inside the park home run, and I hope to see that this year again because that was a blast.
It
I
won't
got
be
to
me.
see it in the park home run last year, and it wasn't for us. So I hope I never see that again.
Yeah.
I allowed it inside the park home run because my feet got stuck underneath the fence.
Oh, man.
So yeah, shout out to Armstrong.
All right, well, don't do that again.
Oh, called out.
Yeah, for real.
Well, it's okay, though, because, you guys still haven't allowed a triple play to my knowledge.
Shots.
2 of them, I believe. Is that correct?
I don't think I was here
2
for
of them in the
that.
last 2 years? Yeah.
I'm not remembering. Nope.
Don't recall?
I
No
think I remember a
recollection.
softball one. That might have been
No, that was
before.
yeah. That's
yeah.
the
That's
yeah.
what we're talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little
I try to block
shade
out
being
that kind of
thrown.
negativity.
A little shade being thrown. It was it was Leah Bogosian actually was involved in both of them.
I'm gonna tell her to listen to this now because
do
yeah.
so.
Yeah, Leah was, but
Shots fired.
yeah.
At me
Lots
on
of
my
shots.
Twitter.
We have shots fired at Lindy. We have shots fired at Leah. Not at Brielle yet.
Any complaints, forward them to my Twitter at Jordan is a Brave.
But yeah, so hopeful good spring sports seasons coming up here for Pacer Nation.
I'm looking forward to it. Jordan, I know, is looking forward to it, and we're gonna have our hands full with all the spring sports.
Man, it's gonna be you and I are gonna get a lot. We're gonna have to do a lot of running back and forth.
Well, that is true. Let's just hope we don't have anything like that Super Sunday.
Oh man,
That baseball game was
during the big game, yeah, 5-hour game on the Sunday of the big game.
Yeah.
Us?
Yeah, it was you guys.
Yeah, it was y'all.
Yeah, 5 hours we waited. Opening weekend of the big game, and 5 hours. I think the ball was thrown over to first about 578
I was
times.
just about to
Actually,
say
it
that.
was,
They
yeah.
love to pick off. It's
They love to
honestly
attempt a
annoying.
pickoff.
It
They
wasn't.
love to
It wasn't just
attempt-
them. It was also. It was both teams that were doing it, and I think Zach Moon was the base runner.
He was, yeah. He a threat to steal. He was truly.
Yeah, 4 stolen bases
Truly.
in his career.
Truly, he's well known for his speed throughout the Peach Bowl. Legendary, truly. But
I have no words to say. I mean, what he speaks is the truth.
yeah, as I mentioned, though, a lot of running around for you and I. 49 home events in February. We are going to be busy men.
Well, I hope that paycheck is nice and pretty.
I think that's going to get you fired, buddy.
I've already been fired over 200 times. It doesn't even faze me anymore.
Haven't we all? Well, guys, thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We hope you've had fun here on this train wreck of a podcast. And hopefully we'll see you guys again at the end of the season. Give us a wrap up on how things turned out for you. We'll go back. We'll look at those goals of yours, see how they turned out for you, and
Oh yeah, we're gonna remember.
maybe you get roasted. Maybe you did what you did. We'll see.
We can only hope we don't get roasted.
Well, that's up to you.
I'll tell them this right now. Even if you don't meet your goals, if your teams win the respective conference championships or tournaments, all is forgiven.
Absolutely.
I can't guarantee that. I'm coming for you if you mess up.
Well, that's gonna be the day that
I
we.
feel like the ring kind of offsets that. If we get rings, like my personal goals, I mean, my biggest personal goal is to get rings. So
Fair enough.
He's got you there.
That's true, but we'll see what
I
happens.
do like a little bling on the fingers. I'm not
Oh
gonna lie.
man,
I don't have any, and that's going to change.
oh man,
I mean, you could always just take the route I took, but
pay for it on the side.
Yeah. I'd rather just win it. but
Yeah, I'd
Wouldn't
rather
we
it be
all?
given to me. Honestly, feels better that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely not gonna buy one. So.
whatever. That's fine.
Well, again, thank you guys for coming on. We appreciate it. So, Nile Goings and Kristan Lowery, everybody, hope you guys have enjoyed the interview. We'll see you guys a little bit later.
I appreciate you
right.
having us.
No
Thank
problem.
And before we sign off with our podcast, we're going to just go ahead and just let everybody know that, again, baseball and softball starting up first week of February 2nd and 3rd, respectively, I believe. I can't remember which is which. Baseball second, and the 3rd is softball. So be sure to come out to the ballparks for those exciting opening matchups. Basketball, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about basketball as the recording of this podcast. Pacers just dropped a tough game, and
Tough PBC doubleheader. They lost both games in that.
but they were playing the men's team at least was playing UNC Pembroke, and they're the top team in the conference right now with only one conference loss. So I mean, and they played them tough, and they got within within 4 late as well, and they kept doing the foul game, and they kept it close, and then just at the end they just couldn't hold it. They just couldn't hold it
UNC
together.
Pembroke's men's team, I mean, they were just phenomenal as a whole. I believe they shot something around, they were shooting around 65% throughout the entire game, which, I mean, those are video game numbers. That's insane. Like, as a team to be shooting that well, and they were shooting about 40% from three-pointer, which, again, as a team, that's really good to be shooting that high of a three-point percentage. And the thing is, the Pacers didn't play bad. I mean, they got off to a slow start, but quickly turned that around. It just, the Braves of Pembroke they were that good. I mean, that's just a scary good team.
And if you looked at the stat sheet, USCA can actually beat them from the field. They had a better percentage from the field, and they had more from the field. They had far more and a far better percentage from the three-point line. But what really came back to bite them is UNC Pembroke went to the line 30 times. USC Aiken went 15. USC Aiken had 10 of those 15. UNC Pembroke had 24 of 30. And that's where That's where the game was won. And
a lot of those came there late. I mean, we would need Pembroke to miss one free throw, and they would just sink both of them. And the Pacers just weren't able to overcome that. I mean, they tried their best. They did everything they could. They were making shots to keep it within striking distance, but the Braves just kept making those free throws.
And the Pacers kept fouling the wrong guy, because the guy they kept fouling was 8 of 9 from the line at the end of the night. He just was almost automatic.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing was, talking to Coach Vanderslice after the game, he said that had it not been for the very start of the game, the first few minutes of the game is basically when it was decided. Had it not been for those, we probably could have won that. And the same thing goes for the women's team. The women's, they were getting, let's just be honest, they were getting beat pretty badly in the first half.
Yeah.
They scored half the number of points. It was 28-14 at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
And they fought back, and again, they were right there, ready to go, ready to take it. I think they were only down by 3 at one point. And just sadly, in that last minute of the fourth quarter, UNC Pembroke just pulled away just enough to keep it out of reach. And that seems to be the trend this year, at least for the home matchups for both of these teams, is they have a slow start, but then they pick it up in the second half and they make a game of it.
If these two teams could play in the first half the way they play in the second, there's no telling what their records could be right now. I mean, it's like night and day watching two different teams. The team that'll come out and play in the first half, and then the team that comes out to play in the second. Like the women's team today, or in that matchup against the Braves. I mean, they came out so slow in that first half, only scoring 14 points, as you mentioned, and then exploded in the second half and made it a game. Came to, as you mentioned, within 3 to 4 points. I can't remember the exact figure, finishing up 60-54 at the end of the game. I mean, they just did so well battling back in that second half. And you have to think, if they had, strung together a few more points in the first half, they could have been in there. They could have won the game there at the end.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed, and, I'm not an expert, but one of the things that I think that this team should try to do, and I'm going to leave this up to Coach Miller because he is the final say and he's the expert, but when they start playing scrappy, when they start playing physical and aggressive and take a few more chances, they seem to be playing better.
Yes, absolutely. And the press defense really seems to work well for them.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what happened. The second half, they really turned it on. They played aggressive. They took a few more chances, and they pulled within striking distance, unlike in the first half where, they played back a little bit. But that could also be that slow start factor. It could just be because they start off slow. They don't have that drive to really the adrenaline pumping, if you want to say. So, but going back to men's basketball, they have been their losses this year, and they've have a few. They've got a respectable record too. But 78 to 70 versus Payne, 67-64 versus Clayton State, 62-59 versus Georgia College, 76-74, and a heartbreaking loss to North Georgia. We were there for that game.
Yeah, that last second shot there.
And this most recent one was 93-87 versus UNC Pembroke. And 22-point differential in all those, and 14 points in the PBC is a differential for all of those games. I mean, that's if you start making if you get a couple bounces going your way, yeah, you can turn those losses into wins. And again, this Pembroke game that we just got finished with, they did not play bad. I was talking with some folks in the crowd and saying, and we were talking about how they're not playing so well. I'm like, well, they're playing the number one team in the conference for one. If we were playing anybody else right now, we would be in good shape.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that goes back to the program that UNC Pembroke has. Their basketball team, men's specifically, is just such a great team. I mean, the two big men that they had, numbers 4 and 5, I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but I mean, those two guys were insane. It's like they couldn't miss. They were both 6'7". They're both really long and athletic. They're shooters. They're tall enough to get their own rebounds, and they're super athletic to get around defenders. I mean, it's insane. It makes no sense. It's like watching something that shouldn't be able to happen, and it's happening right there. I don't understand how these guys are built the way they are, but they're just absolute monsters on the court.
And going back to USC Aiken, especially dealing with that kind of team, there were some high pressure moments, especially late in the game, and both Faison Brock and Henry Bolton were coming up big. They were making those 3-point shots that you needed to make to keep the Pacers in the game within 2 possessions of the ball, and that's big. And I think that these close scores have something to do with them still playing well under pressure, not giving up at the end there, fighting as hard as you can. And talking to Coach Vanderslice after this game in particular, he says this is one of the strangest teams he has ever had in the fact that they are 6-0 on the road and 1-4 at home.
Yeah, they're struggling here in the Convocation Center. That's something that I was noticing as well. I mean, and you got to wonder what exactly is the cause of that? Is it possibly, jitters playing in front of your home crowd? What is it? I mean, and it's something they're going to have to figure out and fix going forward, because if you can't win games at home, it's going to be tough for you to win games overall. I mean, that's where you're going to play at least 50% of your games, and if you can't win there, you got to figure out what's causing that issue.
Yeah, and that is really strange, though. I mean, it's almost the reverse, because you want to win your home games, and you feel like, well, if I can at least win half of my road games, then I'm in a good position. But now you're looking at like, well, if I can at least win half of my home games, things will be good. But this could be just throwing out a little idea for Coach. Maybe for the next home game, which is against Augusta on the 24th. Maybe do a colors day instead of wearing your home whites. Let's wear colors and see if that maybe changes the mentality a little bit. I mean, at this point, it couldn't hurt.
Just switch things up a little bit.
Yeah, and maybe that'll get rid of that slow start. Because when they're on the road, they're playing well. And Coach said, when we play both halves, we win. And the one time they played both halves at home, they won.
Yeah.
So maybe try changing it up a little bit, see where that gets you. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, then, I'd say feel free to send me some angry tweets on Twitter, because I don't have a Twitter.
Don't send those to me.
But, yeah, I mean, basketball, the men's going back to what we were talking about at the start of the season, we were making predictions and everything like that. Women's basketball team sadly hasn't really lived up to what we were hoping they would be. But again, young team, and they've got a lot of room to grow. And I can't stress it enough. Mark Miller is an excellent coach, and when he gets his way, this team will do really well.
And you can see the team's potential when they play. It's one of those situations where it seems like it's just a bunch of small tweaks here and there. Just a pass goes errant here, and they aren't able to capitalize on that. It's small things. The team as a whole definitely has potential, and once they nail everything down, the chemistry with the team, just playing together, capitalizing on opportunities, this is going to be a team that's really going to have a lot of good games. And as well as that, it's easy to forget there's no seniors on that team. They're all juniors and below.
And that's helpful. But another thing that we have to point out is they've been playing with a short bench recently due to injuries and ineligibilities. So, you got to take that into consideration, and the fact that they played a tough second half today is something to be proud of. I mean, obviously you want to get the win, but you got to look for that silver lining. And as for going on to the men's team, my expectations for them, they are right where I expected them to be. They're right on the bubble. Coming into this week, they were number 3 in the conference. They're still in a good position. They're still in the driver's seat. Pembroke obviously is really driving the car, but these guys are right in the passenger seat, ready to take over at a moment's notice. And I feel like if they get a few bounces that go their way, they may not win the conference regular season title, but I think they got a shot at winning the tournament if things go well.
They're currently number 3 in the conference, so they're definitely up there in that race. Yeah.
And I mean, they can make it to the NCAA's. It'd be nice to go back to the tournament. It'd be really nice to win the region again. Go back to the Elite Eight and get some unfinished business taken care of.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And back in 2013, 2014, those still sit sour in my memories, because that's when I was going to school here. Basketball superpower.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Those teams are not easily forgotten, for sure.
And hopefully they will. Hopefully things will go well for them. But that'll about do it for basketball. Golf is getting ready to start things back up again. Again, national contenders as always.
Oh yeah.
But when you're playing most of your matches against Division I schools, you got to be considered good.
Absolutely. I mean, and this team is one of those. I mean, they're full of talent. We've talked about it over and over again. Multiple All-American candidates on the team, bounce back candidates from guys that are coming back from injury. I mean, this is going to be a team to definitely keep an eye on.
And they finished off the first half of the season with I believe it was a number 4 placement in their tournament, again against Division I schools. So a D2 school doing that That's pretty good. And again, they're the defending Peach Belt Conference champions, so that's a little something as well that you can look at. And I honestly think that they can win the region this year. The national, I mean, obviously they can win the national any year, but I feel like the regional championship is a highly attainable goal for this team. National. I mean, I'd love to get a fourth national championship trophy put into that trophy case out there, but time will tell. Time will tell.
Oh, absolutely, and they'll start their the second half of their season up on February 18th at the Newberry Invitational. That's going to be going on that Sunday and the following Monday as well. So be sure to keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the placements of those guys. I mean, that's they've earned your support as well as any other team has. So be sure to keep up with them. And as we mentioned, national title contenders here in Aiken. So, for sure, a team to watch. And
also a team that deserves support is men and women's tennis, their season getting ready to go. And, I really wish we had more coverage of tennis. I used to play it back up north and dabbled in it a little down here, but never really got back to competitive level. But it's such a fun sport. It's a really good sport, and we need to cover it because I really want to call a tennis match.
Well, I was about to say, I do believe we're in the process of broadcasting a couple of those this season. I don't know exactly how many we're planning on, but I know, one or two, I believe, is the goal this season. So you might get that opportunity to call a tennis match this season. I would let you take the reins on that one. I'm not a very big tennis guy myself. I don't know much about it. I know 15 love, 30 all, that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got the wrong order. It's love, 15, 30, 40, deuce, or game.
See, yeah, right there, off rip. I'm not a tennis guy for sure. I've played a little bit, but not. I played in the sense that I had a racket and there was a ball there, so it's like, kind of, but not really.
You just hit the ball around and prayed that it went in the direction you intended.
I took Coach Dom's tennis class. He did everything he could for me. Unfortunately, I didn't make the cut on the team. I tried, didn't make it, so.
Yeah, Coach, I took the same class with him, actually. It was a lot of fun. Problem was my skill level versus everybody else's skill level was very different, except Kate Duff, a former basketball player.
Oh, man.
She was in the class with me, and we matched up against each other pretty well. But she's from Australia, though, so
it's a
Australia
big sport
tends to have good tennis genes over there in the land down under. But yeah, tennis is a really fun sport, and I encourage all of our listeners to, if we are able to stream, make sure you come tune in for that. And if you can't, come on down to the tennis courts. Really, really fun atmosphere playing tennis, and there's multiple matches going on at one time. So if you're watching one and USC Aiken's getting clobbered in that, well, you move on to another court, and hey, they're beating the crap out of them this time.
Exactly.
So
it's a great sport to come and watch. It's very exciting, very back and forth. And if you want to check that out, it's going to be their first match on February 1st at 2 p.m. They're going to be taking on Georgia Gwinnett. So feel free to come on out. It's here in Aiken. I mean, it's right here. You might as well. What better you got to do on a Thursday afternoon,
Yeah, exactly. Sounds like a plan. I may come on out if I can get off work. We'll see how that goes. But that will about wrap things up. Unless you have anything to add?
I think I'm good. I think we've covered everything. I mean, we've had a great show, good recap. Things getting started. Things are heating up, and we're getting some information from the stat guys real quick.
And wanted to remind everybody, I'm surprised you didn't remember this, Pacer Sports Live going to be airing after the weekend, after this podcast. It'll be on Monday. Come on out to Mellow Mushroom at 7 o'clock, I believe is when it starts. Yep, I got the thumbs up, 7 o'clock.
It feels, it's one of those things, I did remember it. It just feels weird because I'm the host. I feel like it's a shameless self-plug.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm giving you the plug here. That's your show.
All right.
You give me the plug on that one.
That sounds good.
All right, there we go.
Sounds really great.
So on Monday, you'll give me the plug. But yes,
be sure to tune in to Inside Pacer Nation.
Yeah, there you go.
Podcast. Yeah, see, we'll do that for each other.
There
that
you
sounds
go.
good.
That sounds. I like the plan. But yeah, Pacer Sports Live will be airing on Monday. We'll be filming it on Monday. It will be aired on Wednesday, if I'm correct, and we'll have lots of giveaways, possibly some little trivia if you want to.
Answer the question. You might win yourself something, and you'll get to hang out with the crew, the guys. Coach Mark Miller will be there. Coach Mark Vanderslice will be there. I believe Jim Hurley, he'll be there, the athletic director here. Come on out, see the guys, talk to the crew, It's going to be great.
And, of course, Kenny Thomas will
Kenny
be there.
Thomas will be
How
there
could
as
you
well.
forget Kenny?
Well, it's not that I forgot Kenny. It's just that one of those things I assume that everybody knows anything athletic around US Yank, and Kenny Thomas will be there.
That is true. And if you mention baseball, he's right there
Oh,
immediately.
man. And if you talk baseball with Kenny Thomas, he'll have you talking for a good long time.
I do remember that. I had to interview him once. And
I
he
did
just,
as well.
One question, 5 hours.
Yep, one question and the interview is done.
Yep. But, yep, be sure to come on out for that. I'll be there. Jordan will be there. Jordan will be working it. I'll be mingling with the crowd. But that'll be Monday. And that about does it here, I believe.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we are good. But thank you for joining us. And be sure to tune in for our next one in a couple of weeks of Inside Pacer Nation. I'm Marcus Johnson for Jordan Phillips, Kristan Lowery, and Nile Goings, who are no longer in the room with us. Thank you, and have a good one.